Hello, and welcome to today's episode. Can you hear me? Mic check. Let me know. I don't see any movement happening on my. I'm not sure. Hello, I see people logging in. Thank you so much for joining. You can hear me. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ayano. Good to see you. This is going to be really, really good. I'm very excited and um, I'm excited to share. I want to start off by just talking about what is Saturn, what is Mars, how do these archetypes show up in our life, and let's look at this conjunction that we have. Hmm. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm going to change networks. Your connection is unstable. So the good thing is about streaming from YouTube is that YouTube has this great feature that allows me to edit. I can edit out the beginning of this video, which is choppy and mic check 1 2 1 2 and doing all that stuff. I can cut that off and give everybody a nice clean recording. So I think we're good. Looks like the internet is stable. Ayano gave me the thumbs up, letting me know that the mic is working and y'all can hear me. All right, so starting off with Saturn. Saturn is our authority. Saturn represents the way that we author our lives. So, in this beautiful pattern, I will call it a wisdom pattern of the sky teachings. Every planet is the active force in our life. Saturn happens to be our bones, our blood, our genetics. When you're watching a movie, you'll see Saturn showing up as the authority figure, the one who people, the overarching authority figure. In Tantra Yoga, this Saturn figure is known as Kali, or you might say Jagat Yoni, the universal mother. And that is the overarching, like, who we actually answer to, who has the final say. And so if you're watching a movie and you see this, the Saturn, I'm thinking of like Al Pacino and like the gangster movies, like he's the Saturn figure in that movie. So as you're watching those movies and you see Al Capone, Al Pacino, I don't really know. Because I'd never liked watching those movies. But when you're watching any movie, you can see who it is that everybody answers to. Well, this is our Saturn structure. And in our lives, Saturn is going to be flavored by the sign Saturn is in. And also by what house is Saturn in for you, what house, the angles that Saturn makes to other planets. So for this week, for this time period that we've been in with Saturn and Venus touching in with Saturn, so that's Mars and Venus touching in with Saturn, it's going to be impacting us all a little bit differently. We had Venus going through this dance with Saturn last week. That was March 28th was the exact date. Well, they're still pretty close today. So we're still feeling the impact of that. And then today, Mars and Saturn become exact at, I want to say 22. Yes, 22 degrees of Aquarius. So far, my Saturn message to you is to first and foremost take care of your physical body, Make sure you're hydrated, you're well rested, you're well nutritioned, that you are well fathered by your own inner authority. So, making sure that you've got your discipline of self care and self love on lock. Because if you're a little bit dehydrated, everything is going to be a little less efficient. If you're a little bit tired, everything is going to be a little less efficient. And then along down the line, if you're somebody who tends to have a vata, like a wind element of a body type, crackly joints, um, dry hair, dry skin, more thin, more prone to having gas. If you're somebody who has those qualities and you're doing things in your life that creates more of that wind element, you are going to be weak. You are not going to be well Saturned or well structured in your life. So, first thing first, taking care of your physical body. Hydrated, you're well rested, you are nourished with foods that are leading you to greater substance, that are leading you to greater, making you more substantial. So then you put Saturn with Aquarius, where it is now. And Aquarius is, okay, so I mentioned like Saturn being the moving force. Saturn, the planets are the forces in our life. And then the sign that they're in are the way it's flavored, the way it's going to, I like to call this the adverb. Okay. So in Aquarius, Saturn has more of one for all for one, or if that saying goes, all for one for all. I guess it doesn't really matter. Saturn has, in Aquarius, has a major concern for the collective. Saturn in Aquarius is going to be more for innovation to the way we live our lives and to the way we set our structure. So, as I just said, making sure that you're taking care of your necessities. In Aquarius, it's also going to be innovating on the ways that you take care of your necessities. So now, conjunction between Saturn and Mars. We need to talk about Mars a little bit. I think you get the point of Saturn. It is the overarching government, the way you govern your own mind. And in Aquarius, it's innovative, it's for freedom, it's looking for ways that incorporate what's good and better and best for the collective. Now, Mars is that masculine force of direct action. Mars is a combination of Eros and Eris. So Eros, the god of desire and sexuality, and Eris, the god of war. So Mars is a combination of those two archetypes into one. Mars is it's like our desire body moving out. It's like the desires that we have within us. And I feel Mars like in the kind of solar plexus region, which solar plexus. So if you touch where your diaphragm is, and we have this little tip called the xiphoid process. This is the tip that when you're administering CPR, you want to make sure that you don't break it, because it is flexible and bendable, but it's sharp and pointy, and you can actually puncture somebody's lung with that. Well, your solar plexus is just right below that xiphoid process. So it's where the diaphragm is, around that area. Okay, so this is where our will, the energy of taking our internal desire and moving it out into the world. So again, Mars being the active force, and then the sign being the flavor that that active force is in. So Mars, the will to penetrate reality with my own desire. That with an Aquarius like energy, or what I like to say, flavored by Aquarius, is going to have the innovative approach. This is where Mars is on the mountain peak, having a big picture perspective and having some real insight into the broad overview of what's going on. In Aquarius, Mars is very detached from emotions. Mars in Aquarius has that the blessing of being able to have that big picture perspective and not have such emotional response. So from that, we're able to take our power and deliberately effect or deliberately impact based off of all that big picture that we have. No, whatever kind of picture that you personally have in your life, that I want to say it's irrelevant to what's happening in the sky, because where this is happening for you personally in your chart. Wow, I just saw this. Oh, wow. So I'm picturing now, let me finish the sentence. Where this is happening for you in your chart, it will have a greater impact on the house that Aquarius is in for you. So for me, Aquarius is on my midheaven. And the impact will be greater in that area, and then by 90-degree angles. So now we're looking at Scorpio and Taurus, the south node being in Scorpio, the north node being in Taurus. 90-degree angles are like Mars in that, let me put it like this. The 120-degree angle trine is like Venus in that it is harmonious. It's sharing harmonious energy between two things. The 90-degree angle is like Mars in that it sets up a dynamic challenge, something for us to be irritated by that gives us the impetus to make changes, to do something different. So that 90-degree angle between Mars and both ends of the nodal axis. Now I'm kind of scooting Saturn over to the side just for a minute to focus on Mars now. And the little flavor is a little different because Mars is in Aquarius. So what I'm seeing is like the way Carl Jung would say, the sword you carry, and how do you use that sword? So Mars in Aquarius, while Mars is still the warrior, not every warrior has a sword or a rifle. Some warriors have the skills of observation. So to me right now, what I'm seeing is, of course, Nikola Tesla, because that's my favorite Aquarius archetype. But the way that he used his sword, and I don't remember off the top of my head where his Mars was technically, but that the science, the skill of observation, being able to keep records and affect or impact change through good observation. So whatever your science is about, that's Aquarius. What is your science about? Having Mars in that area right now brings this energy of impetus, action, making good use of the auto. For what is your battle? In Aquarius, the battle is for freedom. So it's not necessarily going to, let me see if I have, okay. I thought somebody was messaging me and telling me that my internet was unstable, but let me know. Are you guys still hearing everything fine? I can change my network if not. Okay. So Aquarius, okay, here we go. I'm back to this thing. Okay, so our weapon, and being able to use the sum total of our life experiences. Hey, Gina, good to see you. Oh, perfect. Okay. The recordings have been coming out really clear. I've been sitting next to my Wi-Fi box and hoping that that will make it more smooth. Okay, so all right. So this is, I don't know if you guys know this story. It's something that comes up a lot in talking about Aquarius and also talking about Jupiter because of this, just because of the story aspect. But we all have something that is like, okay, well, in the beginning of my life, this was my challenge, 90-degree angle. So I learned to use empathy to make sure that I would be safe and I could energetically tune into the surroundings to okay, that got me to here at this next phase of my life. I had this particular challenge. So then I did this thing, I learned this, and that got me through that. And then over here, so it's like we gather experiences throughout our life. This is our science, our personal Aquarian theme. And I think the story is the emperor and like a Chinese emperor and a girl, and she is going to be killed if she doesn't do something, and then she keeps telling this story, and then eventually at the end of this whole thing she's able to create, I think it was like a tent. She creates something, but by using all of the skills that she has acquired and gathered over the course of her life. So we all have that, whatever it is. And this is really the time, Aquarian times of innovation. And now I'm bringing back together Saturn and Mars in this Aquarian theme of gathering your personal science, the observations and experiences of your personal life journey, and putting them together in a structure that Saturn is down with, and then asserting yourself, taking that out into the world. Okay, so now you can see with these, okay, I wish I would have brought the chart to show you, but basically let's imagine here is Saturn and Mars, and then it makes a perfect 90-degree angle to the node Scorpio, which is the digestion of everything that has to do with the abuse of power, the money. I'm don't want to say the words because I don't want to get flagged on YouTube, but and I it's so hard for me to speak properly anyway because astrology is not, there's okay, the Scorpio aspects of life which have to do with the underworld material. What is it in the khanda, in that root bulb in your sacral chakra, that is the drive for procreation, for recreation, pleasure, the urge to merge in the sacral chakra, that life force energy, which is our personal power, and how that has been abused, how it has been co opted and exploited. That's what this is happening for us collectively with the South Node in Scorpio. And there's a heavy digestion, composting of all of that material going on. You know about the cases that are happening and the legal matters that are happening with these topics. And in our personal lives, this material is coming up as well. So let's look at that South Node digestion of the abuse, the word misogyny. Oh, I can't even get even started on the, if you just go back and watch a film from not that long ago, the way, oh, is it choppy? Internet is choppy. Okay. I'm debating. I do want this to be a clear recording, and I also don't necessarily want to stop. Let's see. So let me change my service real quick. Are we here? Connected, secured. I hope that worked. All right. So let me know if it's still choppy or not. Um, and okay, so I'm back over here with Saturn on the south node and the digestion of how we've abused power. And I'm so glad I didn't do it, but I was about to go into, if you just watch a movie from not that long ago, the way that women were objectified and it was regular and normal. And the way that brown people, black people were not in film. And if they were, it was actually a white person that was painted brown. And this, we watch Gilligan's Island at my house like every night, and it's very real. And the things that they say, I'm like, wow, that was an acceptable way. Are you sure? It says, looks like my internet's fine. Are you sure it's not in and out for you? I can't change again. I just moved to a different network. I'm not going to change again. So hopefully everybody is hearing me okay. Um, so I am fine on my end. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Okay. So I'm being accommodating right now. Okay. So over here with this, just the way, like the, I'm going to say, fish tank that we were born into had this overall theme of women are objects and we perform in these certain ways. And this is more of a Venus related topic. And then, there is just this certain culture that we were born into. And I'm putting that over there with the South Node because the misuse of power, misogyny just came up. The exploitation of what is beautiful and natural and that life force energy, the exploitation of that stuff, that's all being composted right now. And I want to put a little post-it note because I really want to talk about something in relation to that composting process of the abuse of power. So let me make a little note. Hey, Melissa. Oh, so good to see you. Let's put power, and I'm going to come back to this feminine energy. And when I say feminine energy, I'm talking about not, I don't think I spelled feminine right. Feminine. I'm not talking about pink nail polish. Why can I not spell feminine right now? I'm going to put Venus. It isn't pink nail polish, and it's not the absence of pink nail polish. It is, I don't know why that's coming up so strong right now, but probably something personal for me because I didn't like wearing nail polish due to the fact that it's not good for my health. There's so many things related to feminine that, as this culture that we were brought up in, that even as a young person, I rejected because I knew it wasn't good for my health. High heels on these Pisces ankles, bras on these, no. And I couldn't accept those things. And a lot of that is really coming up for me personally right now. Like, okay, so I'm put that back over there. And then I would love to discuss with some of you about that, like what's coming up for you too. Okay, so back over here. So the South Node at that 90-degree angle with Mars and Saturn, this is giving us all this energy of like, it pulls us back into the past, pulls us into that culture that we were born into, whether we liked it or not, the way that our culture has misused life force energy, creative energy, sexual energy, that primal, the way my teacher Bhuma in India, the way he's a brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means that they what do you say? That regenerative energy in their body is preserved to channel it up into the pineal gland and into that little cup in their brain. So they're not using that regenerative energy to procreate life. they're using it for their spiritual practice. This is what brahmacharya is, what it means. My teacher Buma said that it was like swimming upstream for the entirety of your life to try to fight that regenerative power. It is the most powerful energy in the universe. And then when we join together with somebody and bring that energy to front and center, we can literally destroy, maintain, and or create realities. This is why we use that regenerative energy in manifestation work. That's why we use that energy consciously to either destroy, maintain, or create. So people who were, there's some of you here that were in the Cosmic Alchemy Mystic Source School, and the thing that I always brought back in was Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva is those three: creation, maintenance, and dissolution or destruction. So the South Node being at this 90-degree angle with Mars and Saturn, exact. Today it is exact that we have this wonderful opportunity to look at now. The way that I see these planets now, Saturn and Mars together, it's not that they merge their energy together. It's that, because this is not codependency in the planets where we just merge together. It is an interdependence where Saturn is being Saturn and Mars is being Mars. And they just so happen to be at the exact same degree in the sky. So please, please, please get out in the morning sky tomorrow. Have a peek. Even if it's just 5 minutes, take some breaths, look at those planets, and receive the light of their wisdom through the light in your eyes, and have a moment of immersion. Samavesha, immersion with the light in the sky to the light in your eye. So there's that connection where we talked about last week, where those Mars and Saturn in your physical body merge like a puzzle piece with Mars and Saturn in the sky, and we get a free you just have to pay attention. We get a free download. That's epic. Okay, so now what we can do today is notice where those Mars archetypes within us and the Saturn archetype has been downplayed or given away. Mars and Saturn both have been given away. We have decided we don't like Mars. We have toxic masculinity, and everything related to men is we just don't need it anymore. Like, I think my daughter was telling me, like, that we can have babies without men by doing this science thing about our own something in our own bones. I think it was bone marrow, that we could take cells. And I was like, wow. So this has been deeply connected with Mars. Men is not synonymous with Mars or masculinity, but it has, that's the way the story's been told. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I wrote a book report on that book when I was about, I think, in 10th grade. It was for my mom. My mom's going to probably watch this later. So yeah, I don't know if you remember that, but I did write a book report on that book. Maybe you should have read that book, but it actually wasn't a good book, because they were basically saying that Mars, the planet Mars, which is our direction and our will, is men. So women are like not able to have direction and will. And that is the story that we've been born into. And then women are from Venus, and there's that pink again, that pink nail polish and pink lipstick. And it's like the pink, that's the insides of our physical bodies. So it is really that sense orientation. Well, that's not synonymous with women, but it has been subjected to that. So, okay, what we can do today is look at where we have given the power of assertion, direction, and this is where I'm going to bring in the question that I got today was, how do we really do that? Be ourselves, even with the fear that others will not love us if they see the fullness. So imagine your physical body and I don't see a separation. That's why I when I write heart mind or body mind or heart body mind, I will never separate those words, because I really want to bring it in that the heart, the mind, the body are all one thing. There is no we don't need to keep seeing it in chunks that are separate. It's, if you imagine just the central channel, mind, heart, body, it's all one thing. So we come to the world with this fullness of our wounds, the things that we hate about ourselves. It's so vulnerable and embarrassing, and we feel shame and we feel guilt, and we all do, about some topic. And I can almost guarantee you if you tell me what you feel shame about, or what gives you this feeling of guilt, and can you even do that? Could you even sit in front of somebody and say what it is that you're ashamed of about yourself, or what it is that has been so painful that it's embarrassing and it's hard to talk about, and you're going to start crying if you even say it? We all have that. Okay, so there's this delicate thing I want to express here, where we all have that, and what we'll do to protect, to keep the Band-Aid on over that pain and suffering, a lot of times is that we'll act very aggressive, we'll act overly sexual, we'll act overly in your face as a way of putting up a front. My mentor, Seymour Coblin, would always say this to me: the bigger the front, the bigger the back. It gets me so much. Every time I think about that. So when I see somebody coming at me with this big front, the front being, this is how I'm going to protect myself from showing my vulnerability. And it can be very aggressive. It can be very in your face. I can feel the pain that's bigger than this front that they're bringing to me. Do you see what I'm saying? So whatever your front is, your front can be avoidance, meaning that I was sitting with a woman today who was talking about a scenario, a situation in her life that brought her to tears, that was really hard for her. And so something that she said was, not word for word, but I won't say it word for word, but something that she said was like, okay, well, every time he talks about this topic, I just avoid it, because we feel. So her front is an avoidance, ignore, to ignore, ignorance, so when you ignore something or you avoid a topic, that is a front. You're not approaching the situation. You're not letting yourself rise to the situation. Another thing I will always tell people, and some of you here, my eyes are so watery thinking about that. Just the way we experience ourselves, and that's really all that's happening, is that in that dynamic. Okay, every time he talks about this thing, I just avoid it. If he talks about something else, I'll answer and engage just as usual. But What's really happening is that you can't confront yourself, that you are not able to hold yourself when you meet this energy or this topic or this situation that's coming to you from your loved one. Here's this phrase that left a sour taste in my mouth. You rubbed me the wrong way. Something like that. What this says to me is that you're not able to hold yourself in relation to the interaction with me. And it has nothing to do with me. Now, I don't want to dissolve responsibility because in relationships, there are two people involved. So for, you know, the other person coming at, let me put it like this. You come to me and you're telling me, I'm going to avoid you every time you talk about this situation. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a situation that is important to me right now. Why do you not want to have this conversation with me? And the honest answer is from this person, well, it brings this out for me. I feel scared. I feel, this person is feeling something. But what we normally are going to do is say, well, you make me feel like this. We make it very personal, like make it as an attack against somebody. And I promise you, 99% of the time, that's what we'll be met with. Last week, I talked about nonviolent communication, and I really want to, again, just drill that in. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. Nobody leaves a taste in your mouth except for you. That taste is coming from within. Nobody can rub you the wrong way. They're not, unless they're actually rubbing you and touching you and they did it wrong, they didn't rub you the wrong way. This person is a catalyst for change. They're triggering, they're bringing up something in you. Can you hold yourself while that information is being triggered in you? While that's being brought up, can you hold yourself? Now, if you're in a situation like that right now, where the other person is like, you made me feel like this, and you're over here like, so I'm the almighty, great, powerful one who can make you feel a certain way. There's a loving way to say, okay, I'm not capable of making you feel something. And I realize that there's something that I'm doing that isn't pleasing to you. Would you give me some options for how I can modify that in a way that would be more, I can keep this relationship so we can be more relatable? Because we don't want to go around stamping people out because, you made me feel this way, or you did that, or you did this. We don't want to, we're going to end up very isolated and alone if we just keep getting people out of our lives because they did a taste or a rub that you didn't like. So I hope that all makes sense. And really, in the situation, it's like I could bend myself in 45 different ways for the 45 people who are closest in my reality. I could do that, but I'm not going to, actually. And honestly, in my own personal life, I've had conflict after conflict after conflict in the last week. I would say the last week. I'm just like, wow, I'm really getting to test my nonviolent communication skills, where I'm able to hear people's complaints and feel that fire being directed in my direction, and being able to recognize, like, this isn't about me. Your response to me is not about me. But I also am like, how can I be of assistance in helping this process along? Like, it's not my mode of operation to be like, you're throwing heat at me, I'm out. that's not my mode of operation. Well, except for with my son's dad. I'm like, dude, I can't with you, because we've been for years and years with the same conflict that, I'm just like, I can't engage. And I think this is an important lesson too. There does come a point in this 90-degree angle with Mars and Saturn to the South Node where we're able to recognize how I handle conflict. Do you know how to handle conflict? If you have a way and you feel like you are being in integrity to yourself with how you handle conflict, then good on you. In my opinion, we all have room to grow in our conflict resolution. And I think the thing I need to say right here is that just don't let a conflict make you more insecure about yourself. For me, the conflict makes me more like I feel more like, oh, I'm more defined. I see more definition around, especially by the thing that made somebody else mad. I'm like, oh, I love myself. It's like such a beautiful time in my life where that's the conflict helps me to see the definition and help to love myself more. And also, like, you don't want to make people wrong. They can make you wrong all they want. Really, as long as you know in your heart of hearts that you are standing in integrity to your life's observations, to your life experiences. This is the Aquarian words. You can stand strong in your Saturn structure and notice where love shapes you, where you can grow and change through love rather than letting the conflict be something that burns you and tears you down and makes you flatline. The conflict doesn't need to make you flatline. And you don't need to make somebody else flatline by throwing and shooting all this like fire energy at them. Because your fire energy is actually your own kindling that can create steam and fire and a spark of inspiration and motivation for your life. These are Mars skills. Okay, so now to the fun side. The South Node is always going to be this what do you say? Composting. It's a regenerative process where things need to be composted. And in relation to the Saturn archetypes in our life and the Mars archetypes, who we may not have ever felt good about because we were born in a culture that tells us Mars are the police officers and Saturn is your principal and your government. Well, actually, Mars is your ability to stand up for yourself, your ability to go out there and take action that is assertive in asserting your desire into the world. Saturn is the way that you author your life. It's your authority, the way you govern your mind, government. This is your internal government. I have so much work to offer for Saturn, so much, because I have a really strong Saturn complex on my chart. I'll get into that at another time. So now let's look at the fun side with the North Node. So again, up here, Mars and Saturn. You're going to see them in the morning sky, and you know that there's this 90-degree angle to the North Node. The North Node is where we're going, the destiny, the life purpose, the highest potential and possibilities. So when you see that 90-degree angle, there is this, what would you like that to be? How would you like your Mars energy to shine and show up in your life? How would you like to experience masculinity from the inside and from the outside, or what appears to be coming at you from another body, your pets, or inanimate objects being a Mars figure in your life? From living in India, we have these Shiva lingams. I wish I had one nearby so I could show you, but basically a Shiva lingam it's shaped like a cucumber, and it's been tumbled through the Ganges. So it has this, it's mud basically, but it become into this big crystal, a stone. And what they'll do is put this Shiva lingam into, I don't remember the name of it, but it basically symbolizes a yoni. And it's the merging this in temple dance, we make this movement to um anthropomorphize, or to can embody the reenact the movement of merging together Shiva and Shakti. So um, basically, this moving into the north, like what do you want to experience? What is the highest and best potential of that Mars energy? That's where I was going. This inanimate object in the temples in India is ritualized and worshipped. I mean, they like, I've been a part of these ceremonies and rituals. Well, they're pouring everything on the lingam, they're bringing flowers, they're singing, praying, chanting, and it can go on for days. It can go on for days. So it doesn't have to be the Mars energy coming at you from men or from strong willed people or from pets. It can also be inanimate objects. So that was Mars. And then Saturn, again, time. Saturn, time. They go together. Who is the Saturn principle? So what I'm seeing right now is that there are things in motion that are bringing us to the highest potential of what Mars and Saturn can be in our reality right now. I like to start from the inside and feel that within myself. What is it that is my inner desire and my ability to take that desire out into the world? That's Mars. What is it in me that sets the structure for my life? I've been seeing this phrase, set the tone. So there's something in me that has the capacity to set the tone. I kind of feel like that's Venus for me. And maybe that's going to be something that's, dependent upon you and your chart and what we in astrology world call the ruler of your chart. I don't necessarily believe in rulerships. I see it a slightly different way than what you will hear on most of astrology talks these days. But what is it that sets the tone from within you? You can actually go in and talk to that part and set the tone differently. When you set the tone differently, the whole world changes because you are now emitting a frequency. You're the one that's setting the tone. You're no longer absorbing the frequencies of those around you and, like, oh, this person's throwing a fit, so now I'm mad too. No, this person can throw a fit on their own thing, and I'm not going to make fun of you or talk bad about you. Ooh, this is a thing. Whenever I was used to live with somebody who was a football coach, and when I would watch football games, I never would I would cheer for whoever made a cool move. Like, oh, that's so cool. And yeah. I would never cheer against somebody. Like, if you don't make a good move, I'm not going to bash you. If you do something that isn't pleasing to me, I'm not going to attack you. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I know it does make sense to some people. So, but do you have to do that? Mars and Saturn together today this is the question. Do you need to bash people that don't think like you? Because people aren't going to think like you, and you don't have to be opposed to them or offended by them because they're different than you. I know some topics are harder than others, but just try it out for a minute, because Mars and Saturn in Aquarius is very experimental. It is really about the experience and the experiment. Try something different. That's basically what innovation is. Try something different. Use some of the other options that you have available to you rather than just what you know. Read a book from an author that you don't know anything about and see what they say about the topic. And don't take somebody else's word for it. Innovation is a process from inside, because through our experiences, what we know intellectually, what our physical body's wisdom is holding within, what is the problem, and then we find a solution based off of what we know. Okay, so I see this as us having a really big opportunity for change in the way that we set the structure for our life, the way we use our athleticism, our physical prowess. These are Mars things. Oh, gosh. All right. I want to kind of stop here. I want to take these through and give you guys a clue about how these are going to be engaging you personally. It's almost 6. Ask any questions if you want, and I'll run through these really quickly. All right, so Mars and Saturn are in Aquarius at 22 degrees. So whatever you have, let's start off with the house. Whatever house that is in for you, that is where the energy is going to be most potent. Okay. I had mentioned this for me is in my midheaven. So that's where it's mostly changing the way that I show up in the world. You move that over. I'm going to go from Aquarius. I'm going to go on to Capricorn. So, oh, wow. The way this is looking is like by house. So I'm going from the 10th house. I'm going to move that in through. No, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. I feel like I need to see the chart or have some actual questions. Let me see how else I could do this. Oh, let me do this. Okay, so by squares and opposition. So this will just be a broad generalized, like whatever planets that you have that are in mutable signs. So next we're going to see it's Aquarius. These are not mutable. That's a fixed sign. So we're going to look at Taurus. We're going to look at Scorpio. And then we're going to look at Leo, fixed sign Leo. So Aquarius is in opposition to Leo. So whatever you have in Leo is being impacted by opposition. Now, oppositions are like Saturn, meaning that it is something that makes you have to face it. It makes you have to get grounded and bridge a polarity, a polar opposite. So that's the opposition. So whatever you have in Leo, you're going to be looking at that as Mars and Saturn are making that opposition to what you have in Leo. This is going to be encouraging us to take our discipline of self-love more seriously, to show up authentically with wounds and flaws and all your greatest gifts and blessings. That Nelson Mandela quote that says something about, who are you not to show up in the world with all of your beauty? That the premise of that quote was that we're not afraid that we're inadequate. We're actually afraid of the glory of God within us. Like, we're afraid of how magnificent we are. And we hide that because we don't want people to throw rocks at us and call us names and be haters or trolls or whatever, but they're going to do that because that's what they do. Snakes do snaky things and trolls do trolly things. You still have to shine. Okay. Thank you, Nelson Mandela, for that. And that's what is coming up for you right now with that opposition to your planets, to your whatever planets you have in the sign of Leo, and also in that house that's opposite your Aquarius. All right, and then let's look at Scorpio and Taurus as the other fixed signs. So this is going to be impacting you by square. So you're going to want to look at your chart, see what you have around 22 degrees of the fixed signs. Fixed signs, as I had mentioned earlier, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. The fixed signs is a Vishnu maintenance. This is how you stabilize and maintain and be in a self-interested exploration of self. So with these 90-degree angles with Aquarius to that section of your chart, well, that section of your chart, the Scorpio and Taurus section of your chart, is being heavily worked right now because the nodal axis is there. And we're moving into eclipse season at the end of this month. Well, I feel this month is like the onset of eclipse season. And then the eclipse is happening on April 30th. So what is it now? April 4th? I would say 30 days before the first eclipse, we can call that eclipse season. And then whatever takes place lasts for about 6 months. So we're in that now. Whatever you have in Scorpio and Taurus are going to be completely rehauled, completely just redone. Because, well, first, looking at this 90-degree angle, we might have some masculine beings show up in our life that radically change whatever you have there in Taurus and Scorpio. Radically changing means that from this 90-degree angle, things from your past will be composted and digested, whether you want that or not. And you will be encouraged to go toward north, to go toward I feel like this sometimes is like when you get pushed into a pool and you didn't necessarily want to go, but you end up exploring and finding all of this wonderful, let's say get pushed off a ship or pushed off into, like, it's more intense than a pool. You get pushed in a pool and it's just sort of like momentarily frustrating, but you get pushed into the ocean off of a ship and suddenly you're like swimming with a sea turtle who shows you sea turtle land and you meet mermaids or something like that. Like that north node is destiny. It is your future self and you getting the opportunity to meet your future self through that challenge of Mars and Saturn, forcing you to be more of your own version of Mars and Saturn. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll give it a minute or two. It's so good to see you all here today. Tomorrow, I'm going to jump on. See, I have a session I have a session from 1 to 3. I'm going to take an hour of integration. I'll jump on here 3 to 4. I think it's set for 4. So I'll jump on here again tomorrow. We're going to go over Venus moving into Pisces. And everybody who is here today, feel free, or, if you've got a chance to watch this on a replay, I'll probably take about a good 10 minutes just to do any integration work. If you guys have questions or want to ask anything chart specific, like, oh, okay, well, 22 degrees of Aquarius is exact to my natal sun. What does that mean? Or 22 degrees of Leo is where my moon is. Ask questions like specific to your chart, and we'll take some time to answer those tomorrow. And then what I want to do, it's going to be much easier to talk about Venus moving into Pisces than it was to like totally dissect the meaning of a 90-degree angle and Saturn and Mars and the nodal axis, which I don't even think I really talked about the nodal axis too much. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. And that was a wonderful hour together. And I look forward to connecting with you again tomorrow. Thank you.